Well, we are back, huh? We're back at the 9 Club, everybody. Today, we have a very special guest. Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk is with us. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you, boys.
Thank you.
Dude, thank you
Happy
for
to be
coming.
here.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day outside. This place smells good, was the first thing I said when I got here.
Yes.
Real setup. There's a lot of lights. Real production. I'm very excited to be here.
We've grown throughout the years, and you're seeing, I mean, this is, last year it didn't look like this. You know, we're always implementing stuff and trying to build on it, you know, so it's fun.
Really nice. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Coming from a guy like you, I appreciate that.
Well, we're the
I'm sure
opposite.
You have,
no, we're the opposite.
what?
I'm looking at my guys, right, like, it's my office, and like sometimes I don't even turn on the lights. Like, we do very few things right when it comes to production by production standards. D-Rock, why are you mad?
Because I want.
You're talking about a production.
Oh.
He's your production guy.
I wasn't sure where he was going. It's that he wants us to. I mean, look, we made a huge. Listen, I mic'd when I did Wine Library TV. Is kind of how I hit the content scene.
Sure.
YouTube 2006, February 2006. I did 1,000 episodes in 5 years with no weekends. So if you think about that, in 365 days a year, right? There's 250. Like, I basically did it every day for 5 years. Never with light or even a mic. Whatever the camera picked up was the audio.
That was it.
5 years, 06 to 11. So when D-Rock came into my life, when we started getting serious, what year was that, D-Rock? 14, 15, like late 14 into 15, right? Mm-hmm. Or all 14? 14. You remember, I was like, I don't want to wear a mic. It felt weird. Yeah, first video he made for me, he kind of hit me up multiple times. I said yes. We made it one-off video. He was amazing. It was amazing. He's amazing. It was great. But he made this little micro film and no miking. So like, it is interesting. I do think I'm getting somewhat seduced by how nice your setup is here. You might have made D-Rock's life because I might be willing to implement some of
There we
it.
go. There we go.
It's a big moment.
He's cheering over here on the side.
I feel like I'm selling out.
See? No.
You're evolving. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Well, we try our best. We're just skaters that are, you know, we grew up skateboarding,
Yep.
and we just, you know, we've had our whole careers doing it and stuff, and then we just got into the podcasting stuff, you
Yeah.
know, and Roger's a videographer. He made all kinds of, you know, great films and stuff like that. And we're all skaters, pro skaters. And then, you know, so he had the camera stuff covered. And then I'm a tech guy. So I love, like, you know, putting everything together and getting all that stuff. So we ended up here.
Good for you guys.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Appreciate
I know it's
that.
going super well.
No,
It's cool.
we have fun. We have fun.
But you're bringing a lot of value to your culture and your sub community. Like, I'm excited because I haven't really talked about doing this show or putting out content. Like, I'm excited because I think there's many people in my community that love the culture of skating. I myself never was in that genre heavy. I was talking off camera, I'll bring it up, of like when it hit my world for a little while. But I just know a lot of people are going to be very excited because one thing I do very aggressively for a living is try to pay attention to everything that's going on, not just what I'm interested in. That's what I do for a living in marketing, comms, and all that. And you're incredibly loved and respected in your genre, and so I'm really honored to be on the show.
Oh, well,
Dude,
it's
thank
an honor
you.
to have you here. It's an honor to have you. And you were saying off camera, like you were saying, here's some coffee
Thank
for
you.
you.
Cup of happy. I mean, this is like my place.
You know, we just try to have a good time.
Yeah, I was saying that in sixth grade, you know, I'm 46. So in this 1985, 86 all of a sudden, I'd go outside in Edison, New Jersey to play baseball or wiffle ball or football or like what we did, or sell lemonade or sell baseball cards, the stuff I was doing. And I noticed a couple of kids, Andy Greco, big shout out to Andy Greco, Bobby Duffy. I remember some of my kids were like friends in the neighborhood, like had skateboards and had these skateboards, like real skateboards.
Sure.
Because prior to that, you know, we grew up in lower middle class New Jersey. The only skateboard I'd ever seen before I saw the big board was like kind of the thin thing from the 70s and like the Jack Tripper, like right,
banana board.
yeah, and right, exactly. And I played with that. I remember once I like stumbled on one like in Dover where I lived for a couple years in 82, 83, but like. And I remember seeing it, and it just got so hot so fast.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it completely took over. Overnight, everybody was wearing jams and, like, OP. And, like, you know, now I understand the West Coast flavor had come to the East Coast, but this is pre-internet. There wasn't media coverage. I almost didn't even really know what was going on. And I don't really have the bungee jumping, skydeboarding, surfing, skating DNA. So I didn't take to it. I actually probably authentically was hoping it wasn't going to stick because I was like, no, let's play football. Let's sell lemonade. But
Sell lemonade.
but it really stuck. And then it took me and I was like, Mom, I need jams, and Mom, I need a skateboard, and all this stuff. But I was saying off, I never ever really went there skate. I don't have that coordinate. It wasn't in me. I wasn't capable of really. I mean, sure I could have worked my way to being decent, but I was butt on board rolling down the biggest hills of New Jersey my whole life. My 1986 to 1988 skateboard nuances. And there was also that Nintendo game. What was it?
Oh,
720?
720.
No, guys, I'm
an
old. Guys, I'm
Skate or
old.
Die.
Skate or
No,
Die.
no, before that.
Track and field.
Right, TLC.
That's a good one.
No, but remember, it was-
TNC.
Oh, TNC.
TNC.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was such a weird game, and
I had the surf.
yes, it was just a great era of. I remember it so vividly, and when I got older and got really into human psychology, anthropology, culture, movements, that was a fun thing. I'm like, oh shit, that's when Jersey got affected by the West Coast. That's really cool. And then kind of manipulated into its next thing. And we were talking off camera about Lil Wayne, kind of urban culture, wearing Vans, and just I think we're in this incredible, interesting juxtaposition where our country, America, is really divided on a lot of things and dug into their red and blueness. On the flip side, we're in a mature state of a lot of things that are now fusioned, right? And I love that. And, the skate, surf, Cali culture is one of the most important movements and energies in modern society. And I'm excited to be visiting it in this micro moment.
Yeah. Well, we're excited you're visiting it.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it would be interesting because, you're an entrepreneur and all this stuff. I mean, you've grown these businesses tenfold and, very successful, and I thought it'd be interesting to, maybe get your take on, because there's a lot of crossover between businesses, right? It's like skateboarding business and, you're trying to sell merchandise,
100%.
you're trying to, but skateboarding, everybody's a brand,
Yeah, of course.
So, these companies use skateboarders to sell their merchandise
They sure
and then
do.
merchandising and stuff like that. So, I mean, I just thought it'd be interesting to get your take on it, on how.
I think I have a lot of takes on it. Even as you were talking, other things popped in my head when Ryan was massively popular on MTV and that whole
Strickler.
movie.
Oh, yeah.
As you were just talking, the way energy drinks have really played into this space over the last 25 years. X Games one, I remember watching vividly and being curious of is this this culture's Olympics? And so, even if we, with Dustin here, I know he likes BMXing and dirt bike, all this kind of it's really interesting stuff. So my thoughts on that. One, no different than any genre. One thing that a lot of people in this space struggle with when they're a pro, when they're starting a brand, is selling out.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
a big,
yeah.
Right?
It's a big
For sure.
thing.
Well, listen, I came here to bring some value, so I'm going right at the.
Let's go.
Go right to the sellout. Let's get it.
I want to be a
Let's go.
respectful visitor to everybody who's listening. This is the elephant in the room for everyone who's listening. Everybody who's listening, who's either starting a hoodie brand, is a 9, 12, 15-year-old, a 40-year-old that's trying to get brand deals and do stuff. All of you listening right now in any shape or form, whether you're the human or you're starting a brand selling something, the thing that is constantly in your head, because this space is so good. I don't know if you're seeing these little goosebumps I'm getting right now. When I was delivering that, it's the reason I was able to go there so quick is the authenticity and truth and awesomeness of true community that this genre has. And I would go all the way from BMX, surf, and skateboarding. I'm capturing it all.
Sure.
It's the gift and the curse. If you're about it, you grew up in it and you're about it, and now you're at the crossroads of the business part, and you've been anti-establishment. Fuck the brands. Every brand that was a street brand with you guys that did well because they were young and you were young, when they're at year 10 and they sold their company to Coca-Cola or Pepsi, for the 14-year-old, now that you're 24, for the 14-year-old, that's the sellout brand, even though it wasn't for you. It's just the way the game's played. So what I would say is step one, and this is very powerful. I am a good businessman. I have done well. I am purebred entrepreneur, but the reason I am is I've never compromised ever on my soul or my essence for the short-term dollar. Mm-hmm. And I believe that most people do.
Right.
That when in the face of their first financial events, they're incapable, and I get it. You have debt. You want to buy your mama a house. You've never had money and you like looked up to like having a chain or a Lamborghini. Everything's appropriate. It's all appropriate. And so in the face of that sellout moment, it's extremely hard. And then you go down the path in your mind of justifying the sellout.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
All of a sudden, you're telling a story to yourself and your homies of like, well, but remember when Mountain Dew did this or did like Pabst did, like you're just like whatever the brand. And by the way, the reason I just brought up those two, those are good brands that are big brands.
Sure.
Yeah,
like they've done a better job, right, than others.
Totally.
But there's still 6 years ago, your 12 best friends heard you say fuck Pats. You know what I mean? Like, like that's a big company. We're going to start our own microbrew or OP or this or Slash, whatever it is. So, couple things. One, the biggest thing that I spend time thinking about is living within your means and how much simplicity is actually happiness. So my journey, I know a lot of people listening have never heard of me or might even like think I'm loud or don't really know me or like have a hot take off of one video.
Sure.
So I'll give you a little context. My background was I built my dad's liquor store business for him in my 20s and 30s. I'm a Belarusian immigrant. We came to America, we had nothing. I grew up in Queens and then Edison, New Jersey. You know, very immigrant lifestyle. My parents, like Nintendo, I had to buy with my own baseball card and lemonade money. So my mom was like, you're not getting stuff. Like you'll get clothes, food, like and she would buy the occasional present for a birthday, but I didn't get toys off cycle. If it wasn't like I'm not there's two people in the world. People that got toys on cycle or off cycle. On cycle was birthday and the biggest holiday.
Christmas.
That's right. For me, Hanukkah, right?
Yeah.
Off cycle is people that just went to Toys R Us randomly on Thursday and got shit. Yeah. That was not my life. That was not my life. So, but I wanted stuff. Like who doesn't? And so I learned to eat on what I hunted. I did lemonade. I did garage sale. I did washing cars. I did it. And so that's how I grew up. It made me who I am. But what's really interesting in hindsight was I didn't want money to buy things to impress others, which is what I believe most people do.
Yeah, it's very true.
I don't think people realize, even people who are listening right now who say that's not me, might not realize it's them. Yeah. People don't realize that the Rolex or the Lambo or these things are 65% of the time there to cover your own insecurity and project. You know, I've tried to do a better job clarifying. I used to be very aggressive against this, but there are many people who grow up and actually like care about the craftsmanship of watches and appreciate. That's a different thing. That's you're doing it for you.
Yeah.
But it's when people are doing it for them to disguise their insecurity because they didn't grow up with anything, or they think they're from the trailer park, or a minority, or a gender, or whatever it is. You know, that becomes a Band-Aid that compounds your issue.
No doubt.
I got lucky in that I felt so much gratitude towards my parents for getting me out of Soviet Russia, for being the best parents, for always trying to do by me. And I kind of had this sense that I was special at business early, that I was like, pretty much romanticized this concept in my mind in my teenage years that I was going to go into the family business and explode it for my pops. And then I would do something. And that became more real when my brother was born and became my best friend. When I was 18, my 7-year-old brother, AJ, was already my best friend. He was more mature than most 7-year-olds. I was more immature than most 18-year-olds. And we kind of, you know, and so somewhere around the time he was 14 or 15, 16, he already started talking about, we're going to, we already kind of decided we're going to do business together.
Okay.
What was also interesting is my dad's kind of an old school guy. My brother's more like my dad than I am, and I'm more of a good compliment for my dad. So my brother knew pretty early, 15, 16, he didn't want to work in the wine store, in a liquor store. So I already had in the back of my mind that there may be this crossroads where I might do something with AJ. I kind of thought of it as I was going to do both. I didn't really know. But I remember knowing that I was going to give my parents this time.
Sure.
And for people who are listening that are in immigrant family businesses, I grew my dad's business from a $4 million business to a $65 million business in a very short period of time.
Wow, dude.
Impressive.
And it really, as you can imagine, changes a family's life.
Yeah.
Like, it just changed everything for us. I had to buy my first car was bought at a garage sale. My brother's first car was
They're selling cars at garage sales?
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like,
$50? What do you, I mean,
550 bucks. A 1976 Monte Carlo red cherry with a huge dent in it.
perfect. Perfect.
My brother's first car was a Lexus. Right? So that's a very big difference of 11 years, right?
Sure.
But so I changed my family's business, but what was challenging was this business was exploding, but I was getting paid $60,000 a year, $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year, like not big numbers. Had I gone and just got employed by somebody and given a chance, I could be making millions doing this. So it was a really interesting chapter where I gave up the first 12 years of my career from 22 to 34 for my parents. Never made a lot of money, lived in an apartment by the store in Springfield, New Jersey. And, I see a lot of value in that. I've talked about that at length, but something I'm starting to realize was I got double lucky. Because I was never going to get paid anything, and because I was so committed to the religious ideology of I'm going to help my parents, I didn't even have the option to want to buy good things.
Right.
It wasn't even in play. I wasn't in control. I was in control of the decision I made to help my parents, but the economics that came along with it limited the things I could do, so I did nothing. I bought nothing. And from 22 to 34, never making that much money, I was happy as shit.
And that structure was already built in.
I was happy as shit.
You do what you loved. Yeah.
I was happy as shit.
Yeah.
There's like we could break it down a million different ways. I was happy as shit.
Yeah.
More importantly, big kudos to my mother. I was happy as shit from 5 to 15, where we really didn't have shit.
Right.
So I think the luckiest person on earth is someone that's born into nothing, who's happy every day, because she or he, when they become an adult, realize compoundly black and white obvious that money does not equate to happiness.
Right.
Right? Because if you're born into a lot and you're happy, you might consciously and subconsciously think the money made you happy. We went on nice vacations, dinners.
Yeah.
If you're born into nothing and your household's unhappy, you think money will get you out of it.
Sure.
But if you're born into nothing and you're happy the whole time, boy, are you on a foundation.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So why am I saying all this random stuff? Back to the question. I think people are making some fundamental cultural mistakes when it comes to business, money, even though I'm a business and money guy. I think one has to ask themselves, am I going to be happy? And what they have to ask is questions like, okay, I might get this $1 million deal from this brand, but I'm going to completely compromise my soul, and my best friends are going to make fun of me, and everyone's going to know, and it's going to feel weird. And yes, I could have this stuff, but is that good, bad, or indifferent? And for everybody who's listening, they're like, who doesn't have money, it's like, fuck you, who gives a shit? Like, easy for you to say you have it now. But the answer is, I have it now. What they don't know is how much happiness happened in the first 35 years of my life without it. So it's not like I don't know.
Yeah.
I love when people talk, like, I lived it. I lived not making $100,000 a year for the majority of my life. 100. Now people talking billions and millions.
Yeah.
People don't feel like people feel like being a millionaire is like entry level, but it's not, and it's hard. And it goes back to what I believe, which is for everybody who's listening, when you make these decisions that are a conflict between the business opportunity and what your soul's about, you could own a home with a pool, you could live in an apartment and rent it, and it's very easy for the apartment renter to be dramatically happier than the homeowner with a pool. And a lot of people listening here know that to be true. And that is the conversation we need to be having, which the person that gets hurt is the one that's trying to live outside their means without a lot.
Yeah.
Who go into extreme debt, try to keep up with the Joneses when they can't. I feel a lot of compassion for that. I had a great email from a DM from a kid who's like, Gary, I'm struggling. I'm hearing you. I'm pretty thoughtful. I've got a problem. Keeps going. He's like, I have 4 brothers. All 4 of them make a ton of money, and I don't. And it's like, and I'm happy for them. The DM really caught me. I think it was a DM now that I remember. It caught me because he was happy. No, it was an email. I'm sorry, because now I have my laptop. I didn't have a laptop for 5.5 years before COVID. But then when COVID came, I needed a laptop for Zoom. Okay. And so I'm back to laptop life. It's very weird. Anyway, I'm very passionate about this. I think there's a lot of different ways to live life, but if you can live within your means and not keep up with the Joneses and not let other people's judgment cast on you, you can have a much happier life. And I think a lot of people in this space are incredibly authentic to the space. And I think they need to have this convo more because it'll lead to them not doing that deal. And oh, by the way, there's a funny thing that they don't tell you in business school. When you say no to two things and you keep your authenticity, it does something for your soul. And you find yourself 3 years later being in a place where you're getting offered more money from a brand that does fuck with you and you fuck with.
Right.
And that lack of patience catches people, and they don't realize that if they just followed the path that got them to the first offer, if they double down on that authenticity and work ethic and grind, they could find themselves there 27 months later and getting the actual deal that actually works for them because they actually consume that beverage. They actually fuck with that utensil. They and that becomes a whole different game.
No doubt.
I think skateboarding is an interesting thing because, like, obviously, like, it's a huge industry, right?
Huge.
It's huge. But at the same time, there's, like, hundreds and thousands of skateboarders out there.
Small circles.
You know what I mean?
I know.
And
Of course
so,
I do. I watch you guys.
And so, having, and there's the handful of people who make the big money,
Correct.
who are getting the big contracts.
Can I tell you something what's interesting about that? I'm
Sure.
sorry to
No,
interrupt.
please.
Same with big sports. I represent a lot of NFL players. We had an NFL player who just signed a contract for $5,000.
What?
Yeah, when you don't get drafted, and they give you $5,000 in guaranteed to come to minicamp to try to make the team. That's
crazy.
That's right. Like, and even a rookie that gets drafted and makes the team. Yeah, listen, 500,000. That's real money.
Sure.
Yeah,
But it's not the
absolutely.
way. That's the majority of the NFL. It's not what everyone sees. It's not Tom Brady.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
And so, of course, to your point, yes, there's 12 people making 7 figures.
Sure.
But the far majority, even the ones that everyone who's listening now look up to, they're in the 6-figure game.
Yeah.
And then the far majority's in the 5 and 4-figure game.
For sure.
Right.
I didn't even know that there was a figure that low.
But the best
Yeah.
part about that, though, is that they love it, though. I know that everyone wants to make more money, but, I mean, as a kid, I grew up skating. I turned pro when I was 30. I didn't make any money, but I didn't care because I loved where I was at. I don't.
Well, that's the thing with skating that I think is a hair different than the professional sports that I just referenced. I do think, so there's a lot of professional athletes. This blew my mind when I got into, we have Vayner Sports. My brother and I rep a bunch of players. What blew my mind when we really got into business was that a lot of people don't love what they do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of football, basketball, and baseball players who don't like it.
Right.
They were just born so gifted, and it was the way for them to make $7 million a lot easier than any other way.
Yeah.
I would say that what skating has, much more universally, there's very few people in the tippy top of the top 500 skating world that don't like skate at all. They just happen to be the best at it and just do it because they think they can make money. The far majority love this shit.
Oh,
yeah.
100%.
No,
100%.
for
Some
sure.
kids are probably in it for the wrong reasons, especially nowadays.
Well, to get girls and like shit, like that happens. Like there's some kids that get into skating because it's the cool culture in their neighborhood and they just
sure.
want to hook up.
For sure.
Yeah.
And
now,
then they end up being good at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and now they see, when we were coming up, there wasn't any social medias and everything. Like we had to find this for ourselves, and now it's on TV and it's this and that, and kids grow up, they see what it could Olympics and this and that. So there is
Yes, there's more.
there's more, right? But
And
I think,
people's parents now are like, "Oh, I want my kid to skate because I want him to.
Yeah.
I want him to go get that big in the
hey, how does
Olympics."
little
Or-
Johnny get sponsored?
Yeah.
How does
Correct.
this, and you're
Correct.
just like, oh, well, does he love it? No, whatever.
That's right.
But it's interesting because, when you're saying the football players, $500,000 or whatever, but then scale that back to a pro skater
Oh, gosh.
having to get another job because
Well,
there's
that's
not
right.
enough.
And by the
you
way,
know.
I don't know if you know this, the world champion Yankees, besides Mickey Mantle, in the 50s, would get jobs in the offseason. There are all-stars. There are people in the Hall of Fame in baseball who, in the 50s, during the offseason, would work in hardware stores in Hoboken.
No way.
Yeah, that's just called maturity of business.
Yeah.
When people get their emotions in a bunch and they're like, this is fucked up. Look at these average basketball players. I mean, there's the best skaters. Like, that would be definitely talk in this community.
Sure.
It's not super complicated. They just need more people to give a shit. Like, more people giving a shit means higher ratings, more revenue.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
business. Listen, business is business.
Yeah.
Business doesn't care about your feelings.
Yeah.
It is what it is. oh, by the way, the OG skaters of the 70s that really put it down on those thin ones, they think you fuckers have it too good.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there was no money in it back
you
then,
OG
yeah.
cats that think these, right? They think you guys are super spoiled. They didn't even there was no such thing as that. They just skated with their short jean shorts and fucking smoked some weed and called it a day. There was no fucking anything. And they're your pioneers. So that's what happens, right? Every generation has it better. It is what it is.
That absolutely.
That's damn true.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
1974, Tony Hawk isn't known to anyone. And
Right.
he existed. You guys probably know who that is.
Tony who?
Meaning 1974.
Oh, like who
Yeah,
was
no,
that?
no,
Who
big
was the
guy?
1974 18-year-old born in 1956 who's the best fucking skater in the world in 1974 on those fucking banana things? Nobody knows who that is except other 60-year-olds that were here on the West Coast, and they're like, oh, the GOAT really is Johnny.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to wait till a documentary comes out on fucking Netflix in 9 years to even know who the fuck Johnny is. And Johnny made $0.00, so he's definitely not crying about you 30, 40-year-olds crying about the 18-year-olds that are gonna make more. He made 0.0.
Yeah.
Got it?
For sure.
And that's
Totally.
and that's I think that's cool because the 18-year-olds today, there's 4-year-olds right now that are gonna have a better version of TikTok who are gonna be below average skaters making more money on brand deals in an hour. And my big thing is like, and what? You know,
Sure.
that's good. That's
Sure.
good. That's expansion of the sport. It's expansion of the genre.
Yeah.
More kids will do it. It's good exercise. You know, like it is what it is, right?
For sure. And actually going into social media stuff, you know, it's like in today's day and age, like everybody's their own brand.
Yes.
Right. So, you know, and with the, you know, everybody skateboards and stuff, and like, you know, there's the TikTok and this, and I mean, there's so many.
So much
There's so much.
So much content.
So
yeah.
much content, you know. And I think coming up, when we were growing up, we had to either A, know somebody, you know, or B, send in a VHS tape.
Of course.
To get sponsored. Nowadays, you don't know who's looking at your social media.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anybody could be looking at it
That's
and
right.
see you. You could send a DM with your little tape.
And it's, you know, when you guys were coming up the game back to VHS or get lucky and be featured in a magazine, it was purely about the skill.
Definitely.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Now it's a little,
Style.
now it's pop culture. Now the biggest moneymaker in this thing might not actually be the most technically strong. They just happen to have 17 million followers on TikTok,
Definitely.
and the
Yeah,
brand
right.
wants the audience. And so I have a lot of empathy for people that are tactical about their craft, being upset about that, because the new kid on the block might be a C skater, but he's an A charisma guy,
Yeah.
and might look the part and might work hard on all the right?
I think we
off
see
the pipe. You see
we
it.
see a lot of that. in
Definitely.
Right. So for
skateboarding,
you guys
know?
looking at it and be like, fuck, what? You know, I get it, right? You're sitting around, you're looking at it, you're like, shit, this guy's not even technically really that good. For businesses, they just want to sell Twizzlers and energy drink. And they're not, like maybe that person can't do the thing, the ollies the way you want them to. They don't give a shit. They want that kid eating that Twizzler and making other kids eat that Twizzler. And just, that's the binary aspect of it.
And I think it's also generational, right? Because
Yes.
like there's also, you know, because we have a thing in our industry, it's like we have like the core skaters, right? That skate for the companies. Then we have the so-called like YouTube skateboarders,
course.
who make their own career
Yes.
on YouTube.
Yes.
And I applaud them. You
Yes.
know, I applaud them. I mean, we grew up in an era where you had to do it the traditional way.
Correct.
Now there's I mean, you could do it yourself nowadays.
That's exactly right.
And so, which I love.
By the way, you guys are doing it. You're doing it in the meta right now.
I was
Yeah.
just about to say.
This had to be a radio station saying you're good enough to get the at-bat.
Exactly. So there is still that, you know, divide in skateboarding where the core YouTube, I mean, they're labeled YouTube skaters.
I know.
You know, and
as
it's
as a derogatory term by the core, but
It
it's not
is.
but it's not going to stop the market from loving the YouTube skater more.
no. And like I said, I applaud them because I think it takes a lot of hustle, takes a lot of work. I mean, YouTube is no joke. You can't just throw a video up there and be like, hooray. You know, it's
Now you got to really put yourself out there, and I think that's the difference where skaters, now that this social media is like very powerful, I know early on it took a second for skateboarders to adopt it.
I remember.
There were certain skateboarders that are like, let's go, let's do this.
I remember
This is
it,
new.
you know, when I first saw it, MySpace.
Right.
So when
Yes.
I was
yeah.
watching Friendster and I was like, something's happening. MySpace hit. I'm like, something's really happening. And when Facebook hit, I was like, I'm changing my life. But on MySpace was the first time I saw the skate world, and I remember vividly reading some blogs, because again, even at that point in my career, I had started going to anthropology mode, and I'm like, I want to know everything about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would double down on things I know, my interests, wine, sports, business. But then this is when I started, like, I need to learn about surfing and skate. The West Coast thing always sat with me as such an East Coast, like, you know, like I always knew there was this whole big world, Vans over Nikes, right? Like I knew it. So I really dug in, and I saw it early on in MySpace. There were so few. There was like 2 or 3, but it's what always happens. Like, look what's happening now. You want a good one? So for the core skaters who are like, fuck these bullshit YouTube skaters, how about the fact that the YouTube skaters are doing that to the TikTok skaters?
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you've got a whole movement of like the 25-year-old shitting on the 17-year-old, and I'm like, why are you doing that? The core skaters were just shitting on you. You should know what this feels like.
No doubt.
Gotcha. I didn't even realize there was something.
There's a
YouTube and TikTok beef now.
There's a divide within the subculture because YouTube, to your point, that takes a lot of that's a different game.
Yeah.
So that person's like, okay, fuck the core skaters, they don't get it, but I'm really putting in work. They're looking at kids doing one little 4-second video, and they're like, fuck, and they're doing one take, and like, even if it doesn't go well, if they edit it right and the right music, and they're like winning, and like, if they fall off and do a fucking dance, they're like, fuck that, right?
Yeah.
And so there's beef within social, because YouTube is more core.
How amazing is that?
Yeah. That's a
I
great
didn't even-
comparison
stepping
right there.
stones.
I didn't even realize it. I'm not a big
you
TikTok.
think I was gonna come to the 9 Club and not drop some fucking knowledge?
I love it. I love it.
I can't make Dustin
Let's
and
go.
Ben look bad. I had to bring it. I was prepared for today.
Yeah. But what's interesting too is like after TikTok, there's going to be something else.
Always.
You know?
Right.
And I thought Instagram was the end all be all.
Yeah.
You know, I was like,
totally did too.
What can be after this?
We're
You
dinosaurs
know?
on this bitch right now. They're like,
I know.
Kids are old now.
It's crazy. You go pay attention to 14, 15, 16-year-old culture. You look at 26, 27-year-old uncle, nieces, cousins, older brothers. They're hitting me up at scale. They're like, because I was hot early TikTok. So I put out an ungodly amount of content 40 years ago. I'm like, TikTok.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of love for how that played out. So I get these DMs now. They're like, holy shit. Everyone's getting faced with this right now. Cliche, 25-year-old talking to 16-year-old, whoever that is, cousin, niece, nephew, uncle, sister, daughter. And the 15-year-old saying, Instagram.
Yeah.
And it is fucking them up because they know it, because back to the whole thing, they just said that about Facebook to
Yeah.
people 10 years ago.
And MySpace before that.
And when you're 27, you're still young. And when you're faced for the first time in your life of someone telling you that you're old, that's like a shock.
Yeah.
You know, you've been enjoying shitting on the boomers and your older, and now a 15, 16-year-old, because they're starting to come into their own.
Oh, yeah.
And I always knew social networks followed what happened with clubs, meaning nightclubs. When you became 18 to 21 in New York, when nightlife was really nightlife, 60s, really 70s and 80s and 90s and into the early 2000s, before it got so expensive anybody could get in, just kind of changed the nightlife scene. Nobody wanted to go to there was a saying, nobody wants to go to their older brother's club. So no matter what your 9-year-older or 7-year-older brother's club was, you really wanted yours and your crew when you were 18 or 21.
Right.
That's what's happening with social
That's a
networks.
great way to look at
There's
it.
no 15-year-old when their 25 to 30-year-old was all about Instagram. When they've got TikTok and they can tell that their brother doesn't get it, that's power. Youth's power is when an older generation doesn't get their shit. That's their power.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what they want to flex.
It's interesting because like you look at a TikTok for an older guy, what do you do? Do you just post a skateboarding clip? Do you post like a whole thing, like what you were saying before, the dancing and falling off?
I was very early on TikTok, and I was saying to everybody, I'm like, look, I can't dance for shit. The only thing I do worse than riding skateboards is dancing. Okay. So I was like, I'm not going in there and being Charlie D'Amelio. I'm going to be Gary Vee. I'm going to put out business content.
Yeah.
I'm going to know that it's young kids. So the words, I curse like a crazy guy, but not the cursing. But what I was saying, things like, hey, when your parents are telling you this about English class, so it'd be different than I would put on LinkedIn or Twitter. And so I knew the age group was different. So the content was contextual, but I was still me.
Right. You have to be authentic.
Right.
What if you can't dance? You're not going to dance.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like it's not like now.
It could be funny.
Well, to that, by the way, to that point, the occasional off the beat ironic, the occasional escapism, just random. I actually want to do me and my team talk a lot about like TikTok giving me the freedom to like I'm so focused on providing value The only way you win in social is if you're giving people value, not taking it. Which is why so many people suck at it, because most people go on social to like, I'm gonna get brand deals, I'm gonna get followers,
flexing,
I'm gonna get a blue check mark. It's the only way you win in social is I'm gonna give. Now that giving might be you're funny on Vine, you're King Batch, and you're funny. That's escapism, right? It might be that you're attractive, you're a model. That's value. It might be that you have business advice. It might be that you can show people how to do things properly in their craft: skateboarding, surfing, BMX, video games, wine, cooking. So, but you have to provide value.
Right. Even an organizing video.
So for me, a lot of the Gary Vaynerchuk, like who I am as a human, has never come natural to me because I don't see that as providing value. But humor or silly stuff, like I like blueberries or things of that nature, when I sneak into humor, I see that as escapism value. That's why I value Richard Pryor, because when I'm feeling anxious or stressed because a lot's going on with work, I can put in a stand-up and I can laugh for 14 minutes or an hour, and I'm not thinking about movies provide value. This is why movies, music, stand-up, TV shows are so important in our society. People need escapism to get out of the stress that they're feeling day to day, and they need their brain to go to a different place, and that's why we value it. I think when people are thinking about social, that's the way you can think about it. Can I do something that will make somebody step away from the real? And if they're in TikTok for an hour just going through, you're just escaping. How do you provide value? The reason almost everybody listening has not gotten the following count that they want is they only come when they make the content from the perspective of what am I going to get from this?
Right.
I'm going to get likes.
For sure.
I'm going to get a brand deal. I'm going to get blue check verified. I'm going to get 1 million followers. That's why people lose.
I can see that. Yeah, because I think
Try too hard.
I think when Instagram came along back in the day,
Try too selfish. Try too selfish.
there you go.
You're right about try too hard, because that's always felt that's not authentic.
Right.
That's one thing. That's on this shelf. But on this shelf, the big one, try too selfish. What's in it for me? I need this for me. Well, people say, I want to build a bigger community. I'm like, you haven't responded to one comment in any of your posts for the last 2 months.
Yeah,
you want a community? How do you have a community? A community is people interacting with each other. You want a fucking stage where you talk and people pay. You don't want a community.
That's what the YouTubers got.
You want customers.
Yeah.
People talking, I want community. They want customers. They're full of shit.
That's definitely true.
I'm aware because I
true.
look at people's actions. You know how I built a community? I replied to every tweet I got from 2007, 2011. All of them.
All of them.
All of them. I used to go to sleep at 3, 4 in the morning consistently because I even had crazy mishigas, nice Yiddish word, for I need to answer them today. So I'd have to go to sleep. And then I did it. I literally replied to all of them. I used to reply to all my emails. Obviously, the numbers got so crazy at some point in my career. But I still, to this day, engage in my Discord heavy.
Discord's a huge one.
Huge. I reply to DMs. I have a community text, 212-931-5731. I reply on that plug. Right hook. It's Twitter. I'm incredibly active. You want to build a community? Stop being full of shit.
Right.
Because most people, when they say community, mean customers.
Oh, man. That's definitely true. Discord. Love Discord. Big one.
Huge.
Big one. Because a community can be a community inside of itself.
And are you hot on Discord or know it well because of the Twitch DNA and how closely they were tied? Or did you stumble it through NFT land? Or
No. I stumbled it through gaming,
yeah, of course,
and stuff like that.
That's where it started. That's where it started.
It was where it started.
Yeah,
right?
everyone talks about Discord today because of NFT land. I'm like, no,
Right.
the origins are in gaming.
For sure. But it is a great place to help build a community.
Well, it's AOL chat rooms 1994.
Yeah, totally.
For all the big shout out to all the 45-year-olds listening right now, the OGs.
Yeah.
Discord's easy for you. It's AOL chat.
And that's a funny thing, though, is like,
Right?
It's a great way to sell it.
Yeah.
a 45-year-old goes on Discord and it's like, what the hell is this?
Well, it's funny. Actually, I felt a hair of the reverse. They go, 45-year-olds and above go to TikTok. They're like, fuck this shit. They go to Discord. They're like, wait a minute. Why does this feel weirdly easy? I'm like, because you fucking lived on AOL chat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you have a screen name?
G-Nuts.
G-Nuts. Perfect.
G-E-E-N-U-T-Z.
N-U-T. Oh, you gotta get the Z.
Z,
Yeah,
baby.
You gotta get the Z.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Great.
I saw that recently. Someone's like, "Oh, post. It's like 40 years old or something." In AOL Instant Messenger or whatever. And,
Holy
and they
shit.
were like, everyone was posting their names.
Oh,
Mine was the
God.
Man Skater.
I don't even remember mine.
Those are good times.
G-Nuts is a good one.
It's pretty
G-Nuts is a
good.
good one.
I like it.
Can't forget that.
I like it.
I'm pretty proud of that one.
Oh, man. But yeah, no, it's interesting. I love your take on a lot of this stuff because I mean, like we're older, right? We're older. I mean, the kids are always going to win, right? It's
Always.
like they're
Technology.
the ones.
Technology's undefeated.
Right?
Big time.
Always. Like, you know, like we're older, but for us, a Walkman came easy. I remember, old heads in my neighborhood. I lived in a great neighborhood. Like, I keep thinking, man, I got so lucky. In Edison from 82 to 89, when I grew up there, it had more of a, now in hindsight, it was closer to 1965 than it was 2000, meaning people were just outside.
Yes.
So I just vividly remember this guy washing his Thunderbird. I must have been what? So I'm 7, 8, 9. He's got to be 25. You know, Magnum PI, wife beater, jersey, always washing his Thunderbird. And I remember when one of the kids in our neighborhood got a Walkman, and he went on a fucking rant of like how this is bullshit. You can't listen to music on this tape shit. It sucks. You got to go into you should see my record collection, vinyl. Now vinyl's actually coming back up. But he was like vinyl. And I remember this story vividly. He shit on the Walkman. The Walkman is a bad technology. It's stupid. It's not good. And I remember so vividly, I didn't say it out loud because I was a little scared of this Magnum PI guy. But I remember thinking, but you can't take the record player on the bus.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Fuck.
You know what's crazy about that story? I've never told this story, and now I'm making the connection point. When the iPhone came out and everybody was addicted to their BlackBerry, I was like, but we can take the internet on the bus.
Right.
I remember knowing why the iPhone was going to win. I was like, it has the internet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what else to say. It has the internet. Like,
Done.
I can go to the mall and look up the school. Like, I can do things.
Sure.
I can check my mail. Like, and so people didn't see those lack of friction, even though the music that the Madonna and Michael Jackson and Prince might subjectively and properly, I'm not educated on audio, might sound better on your record player in 1984 in your house. The problem was we wanted to listen to Michael Jackson on riding our bikes to Krausers to buy Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah.
Right.
And what are we going to lug our fucking record player that can't plug into the, people don't get it. Technology will always win.
Yes.
Right. And that's why I say the kids will always win because they're the ones that are up on the technology, like you were saying, the TikTokers.
Or kids' mindset.
Sure. Exactly.
So I'm 46 and I interact with unlimited 20-year-olds who are more 46 than I am.
And that's what I was going to ask you is like, how are you so,
Humility.
But I mean, you keep up with
Bow
all
down to
this
the
stuff.
shit. You got to.
Humility.
Yeah.
Humility mixed with ambition. I want to accomplish things. I want to impact the world. I want to be successful. I want to play my game of entrepreneurship. And I have the humility not to think the way I grew up was right. The biggest problem for everyone is they think their thing is right.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't. I just think it's different.
Yeah.
I live in a world of and. Most people live in a world of or. The record player and the Walkman and the disc player and Napster and Spotify and TikTok are all good.
Yeah.
Not Napster's better than Spotify or TikTok's better than the disc player, right?
Sure.
The banana skateboard is good for certain things and the board is, and whatever innovation comes next.
It just goes back to everything has its time.
Facts.
And then eventually they can all actually
come back and coexist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of things are doing that, like you said, with records.
Yes, sir.
They're coming back.
That's right, sir.
People are really
Baseball
on that
cards.
again.
I mean,
Baseball
so
cards.
many
Oh my
little
God,
things
dude.
are just like
So many.
exploding now.
Because you get older and you want to, everyone loves their childhood.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, for sure.
And so you start
Hold
becoming
on to
attached. That's exactly right. And so you start rebooting it. It's why brands reboot. It's
Dude.
VaynerMedia has worked with Hasbro and Mattel, both big toy companies in this country. Through the last 13 years, we've had times with both companies. And the thing that always resonated for me, I'm like, oh, every 30 years, brands reboot. And I was looking at the data because the parent has the child. And right now, there's a mom out there that wants her daughter to play with Polly Pockets the way she did, to play with My Little Pony like she did,
Right.
Strawberry Shortcake. There's guys that want their sons to play with Transformers the way they did, G.I. Joe the way they did, He-Man. I mean, Masters of the Universe is flexing now. Why?
coming back.
Because that's right. Because the 45-year-olds that grew up with it are now having 9 and 10-year-olds. Baseball cards. The greatest generation of baseball cards was 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90.
Totally.
And now those guys have sons that are 7, 8, 9, 10. So yes, COVID, yes, this, but it was generational. The hottest moment of sports cards in America in the last 50 years was 86 to 91. Those people have 9-year-olds now.
Mm-hmm. Tops.
That same thing's happening in skateboarding. All the older brands are resurging like crazy.
It's not even the older brands, it's the older skaters. I mean, you know how many people come on our show that are like searching eBay for their original board that they had.
Makes so much sense.
And they just want that board. They're not going to skate it. And even reissues,
reissues.
But they're not going to skate it, they just want it.
Of course, like it takes you back to a simpler time. Listen,
totally.
Being 45 is more complicated than being 9. Like it's just more complicated, right? Like,
sure.
Like, and even older, like, it's funny. My dad, who worked his face off for the second he hit this country in December of 1978 to really up to now, but like, COVID slowed him down. Like he just worked every minute, and now he's all bent out of shape as 46 as a 68-year-old man. He's all up in like America, but, and he doesn't really go like Republican or Democrat. It's all bad to him, right? Okay. Like, it's like, it's not that there was one side that's good, but because he's had to slow down and now he watches the news. I had a great combo with him the other day that actually I think helped him. He's like, because he's like such a good dude. He's like, I'm worried and like, it's all fucked up. It's never been like this. And I'm like, Dad, it's always been like this. I'm like, you just didn't have time to let the news scare you.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you were working. You weren't laying on the couch for 5 hours consuming both Fox and CNN and MSNBC and Russian Television One. And all 4 of them are doing the same thing to you in different packages called fear.
Right.
And so now you're sitting here and be like, it's all fucked up. I'm like, it's been fucked up. Where were you in 1978? It was a disaster in this country. 82 had this, the Cold War this. Like we had terrible policies around AIDS in the 80s. Everything's been bad. It's always been bad. The problem was in 1984, you were young. You were 30. You were in the game. You weren't on the sidelines wrapping up and watching. But I promise you, in 1984, there was unlimited 78-year-olds saying, this is fucked up.
Sure.
And it's always the same shit.
Yeah. I think what skateboarding did to me, it was like when all this shit was happening, there's still so much fucked up shit happening in the world.
Of course.
Skateboarding.
Escape.
Escape.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's what it means so much to me. It's like when there was fucked up shit happening in my life, that's what gave me.
There's something about physically doing something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Running, BMXing, skateboarding, surfing, working out. I really like it. There's something about the connection of mind and body. Mm-hmm. Like when you were just talking, I'm just thinking about, we now have the older generation, skating to like the whole theme of this talk. You now have a 50-year-old, a 45-year-old, a 40-year-old, a 35-year-old who might be a parent who can actually like. We didn't grow up with parents that would grab the board and go take a right? But it's kind of cool, right? Like you might have a stressful day. You might be upset about Ukraine, and you might actually grab the board and just go. And like I had the vision of you like in the rain, just go like it's
in the
it's
rain.
cool. I don't know why. Just felt
it
appropriate.
happens. I've skated in the rain before. Like you just
like
get away.
It's kind of like cool. Like I like that. That is something I do really enjoy around activities and sports. That. And even driving cars have done that, right? I'm thinking about Rocky when he was all sad that Apollo died, and like that music. I mean, the Rocky music always got me going.
Oh yeah, dude, I had that shit on my phone. I listened to it all the time.
Yeah, that's some of that shit. Like, I'm gonna send this clip to my sister. My sister and I die for some reason. Our entire childhood, from 6 to both of us leaving the home, anytime Rocky would somehow like be on the TV, like on HBO back in the day, within 30 minutes we'd been changed into workout clothes and are doing push-ups in the living room.
Right.
We were so motivated.
That inspiring.
That inspiring. Especially when he was in Russia doing like the old school shit to beat Drago. And like I was born in Russia. I was like, fuck Drago. And I was like, it was everything. I was like, and he killed Apollo, and I loved Apollo, and I was all bent out of shape.
Man.
And he's doing steroids. It's not fair. And like, by the time Rocky beats him, I'm like, this is the best.
Oh my God. It's so funny because like skateboarding is so individual. It's so individual, but then again, it is so community based and crew based and friend based. And
that was something that I always paid attention to, which is we didn't have skate parks as early on the East Coast as it happened on the West Coast. I remember seeing when MTV started, because MTV was the internet. I think some people don't understand. Like MTV was actually the internet, as I think about it now. Like MTV 84 to like 90. Yeah. Controlled 100% of youth culture.
A lot of culture.
Right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like there was nowhere else for us to go.
Yeah.
Like what else were we going to watch? And when MTV in like the later 89, 90, 91, 92 started to give you a little of that West Coast skate culture, that was when I visually for the first time saw skate. And I had a couple friends that were really into it. So they had the skating magazines. I'm like, what's that? It like, looks like a playground with skate. Like it was just like, you didn't see them.
Sure.
And then I remember my friends, my hardest core friends start to like go to like abandoned hollowed out pools.
Yep.
Like swimming pools. I was like, this is some gangster shit, right? Like in graffiti, and it was just that whole like
They're
fucking
breaking into this person's house.
and that was the first time I understood community. I'm like, oh, these 5 kids are skating with each other. And you remember, I mean, you guys lived it. The West Coast, I think, had more of a chill flavor to it. The East Coast version of skating back then was more thug. It had a little bit more of an edge, like
a little more gritty, for sure.
I was going to say.
I remember thinking, like, in the West Coast version, there was there was a happiness vibe. The East Coast 80s and 90s skater kids in high school and junior high were smoking cigarettes and were looking to fight. There was a little bit more edge to it overall. Like, they weren't like hippie. Right. They were more like punk.
Yeah.
And it was cool.
It was more, it's like more surfer based out here.
Yeah, it was more surfer based here, and it was a little more like the Clash Beastie Boys on the East Coast. And so it had a little different energy.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, we were always like, anti everything and, kind of a little more gritty, but East Coast definitely was more gritty.
Well, they had harder spots to skate, too.
No, this is such a good point. You guys were more anti everything, more hippie, fight the like more like fight war, like anti-establishment, but a different energy.
Yeah.
Like there was more fighting. Like I was scared of skateboard kids.
You were scared.
Well, I mean,
seriously, they wanted to fight, and at that point, I was done fighting. I was more of a fighter pre-9th grade.
I feel like skaters weren't, not that they weren't accepted, they just wanted to be on their own back in the day. Like right before I started, it was like, oh, the skaters hang out by themselves. They would not hang out with like the football players or anything.
Oh my God, the skater in my junior high and high school, the skaters were so clearly distinct.
Yes,
they were a complete interesting genre of themselves. This is why I love Gen Z and younger millennials, and millennials for that matter. They all blended in more with each other, much more than the 80s and 90s was true colonies, no mixing.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I always wanted to make this movie that like addressed this issue. I used to have this dream that I was going to make a movie called The Last 30 Days. So, you remember this, D-Rock? I haven't mentioned this in years. I used to have this movie titled The Last 30 Days, and it was the last 30 days of high school.
Okay.
Because I thought the last 30 days of high school, senior year, last 30 days, was the weirdest phenomenon, which was, and I tested this with like hundreds of people over a decade, which was everyone was in their cliques, and out of nowhere, after 3 and 7/8 years of everyone living in their own worlds, everyone kind of came together and intermingled, and like I watched it consistently when I got into high school. The 3 grades above me, and I had 2 younger siblings. It happened for them. I stayed very close to this concept. Like people would get into like there would be weird new relationships. Like the nerd was getting the cheerleader. Like all sorts of stuff would happen because there was almost my hypothesis is there's this, and now with the internet it's different. So maybe the phenomenon's different. But you would be leaving, and you'd be resetting. And you wouldn't have to deal with the ramifications with that little community of whatever you were doing those last 30 days. And honestly, people just stopped giving a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of were like, fuck this guy who's been picking on me. I don't give a shit. Fuck you. And then that person, like, there was something very weird. I've always loved that concept.
I've never even noticed that. I mean, in high school, I just wanted to get the fuck out of there and go skate.
I clearly remember that.
Yeah, I remember that too, though, actually. Everyone coming together at the end. Because they know they're finishing. We just went through 4 years with each other.
The high school, I remember vividly, and this was very obvious to me for 20 years, the last 10 parties in high school, everybody went, even people that never went to a single party. Like, there's something weird about those last 30 days. It's a little bit of like Dazed and Confused meets that Jennifer Love Hewitt movie where like everyone liked her. Like,
oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Can't Hardly Wait. Like, it's that movie genre. I'm probably gonna make it.
Yeah, you should, please.
I'm probably gonna make it.
Yeah, I love that.
It'll probably be a timepiece. I'll probably make it in the late 90s.
I was gonna say,
by the time I make it in 15 years, when I do that kind of stuff, I mean, I lost touch with all my high school friends.
Yeah, me too.
We didn't have cell phones.
No.
So that was it.
Yep.
And I was working every time I came home. So I came home for Thanksgiving when everybody would see each other, had to work at my dad's store. Came home for Christmas, had to work at my dad's store. So I come home for the summer, had to work at my dad's store. So I really lost touch with my high school friends. Like, it wasn't until Facebook that I was able to reconnect with Adam Blum and Loftus and Dito and Skelfo. I'm giving some shout outs. You know, like it was fun. That was like fun back in 2006, 7, 8, because I missed them because I was a workaholic. I was going to do this mission, no technology. And it wasn't until Facebook, and we were that little bit older gen that was able to get on. I was able to find my friends from high school and reconnect and see where Garrett Van Fleet was in his life.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Seems like for me, there was only a couple that I really cared about, you know.
Yeah, I get it.
Because a lot of people would reach out,
Yeah.
you know, hey, what's up? I'm like, I don't even remember you.
Would they reach out because you made it?
Maybe. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
Let me save you time. Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly why, for sure.
Of course.
I think my generation was the the first generation that started to like, oh, he's starting to skate. And that did not happen before.
Interesting.
Like, my friends that skated, no one gave a shit if they were coming up.
I think
I mean?
but in our era too, it's like, you know, nobody in high school was anything, you know.
Correct.
And then people they wouldn't even go to be anything.
Correct.
You know.
No, I know what you're saying.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
But
People didn't even know I was a skater in high school. I didn't go to school, and I didn't wear like the traditional like skate gear. I wore like what felt comfortable at the time was wearing like Jordans and my fucking Levi's.
Where'd you grow up?
In San Fernando Valley. So in Van Nuys area.
So who knew that you were a skater? Your skater friends.
My skateboard friends outside of school.
Right.
'Cause I didn't really have any friends that skated at school.
And how'd you find them?
Outside of school? Just little cliques. I would see them
Skate
randomly,
shops.
skate shops. Yeah, and then we just fall into like little cliques.
Yep.
But I still know a lot of those dudes that I first started skating with to this day.
But
So
you
it's
were like in
one of those
magazines
things.
back then and everything too, right?
When I was like 15. That was
So-
like my first time actually.
When did actually, let me reverse this and interview you guys for a second.
for sure.
Give me the exact moment. This is another thing that I love about the skate community, especially the OGs, humility, too much humility. So can you guys not humility me too much? Tell me the second you knew you had it, for real.
Oh my God.
This is an important question because I think it's fun. I think it will inspire a lot of kids. When, the exact moment, tell me the full story of the second you're like, wait a minute, I'm better than my friends. Wait a minute, I'm really good at skating. Or I'm about to be really good at skating. Or I just did a trick that all these homies that are good skaters can't do. They've been doing it for 2 years. I'm 4 months in. Because you have to understand, at your level, it's pure talent. And then you put in the hard work.
Sure.
When did you fucking know you were different?
Dubs, you want to go first or should I?
I'll go first.
Because
I
at 15
remember
to be in skateboard magazine, like
Yeah.
I remember being at a demo in '87 at Valsurf, and the Alva team was there, and I remember like specifically that in that 3 months they had the Alva team come through, PAL team, and
these were the fucking squads,
these
right?
were the shit at the time. So at the Alva,
How old are you?
Probably like 10.
I love
Yeah,
this.
this is huge.
Mine's way later.
Go ahead, yeah.
Anyway.
So you're 10 years old.
So I'm 10
you're
years
watching
old,
them.
I'm watching them, but then I'm like,
I can do that.
I'm gonna skate at the same time as these people because it was like a jam. So I ended up cutting off fucking Tony Alva, and he goes, "Get the fuck out of here, punk kid!" I remember it specifically. I'm like, "Oh my god, this dude!" But I didn't give a shit. I didn't even know who he was at the time. And my buddies were like, "Dude, that was fucking Tony Alva." I was like,
Who's
"Cool.
that?
Yeah, whatever, you know." But I definitely remember him being like, "Get out of here! Like, get like you know, you're fucking me up," type of deal. And I
Why?
was
Because
like,
you're good?
I don't know. Maybe I was in the way, but I was so like gun ho and carefree at the moment of just being in the moment of this skate jam that I didn't care who I cut off. Apparently, you know. And there's obviously skate etiquette.
Of course.
And maybe
of
I
course.
didn't have that. I was 10 years old.
Of course. It's like golf, right? Like I'm petrified to golf. I don't really golf because I know there's like 800 things in the etiquette. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking fuck up all the
Yeah,
etiquette.
yeah.
You know, like
Totally.
And I don't like being disrespectful. Like I'm a very big like when you go into someone's home, you respect that game. I'm very anti-establishment. I'm gonna fuck shit up. But I don't want to be disrespectful. And so the
Absolutely.
etiquette stuff fucks me up.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But then after that, I had a lot of like people being like, "Dude, you fucking killed it," like, you know. And I was like,
And that
you know
was the
what?
moment.
I think I have something here, and I just became a love and
Thank
passion
you.
that was.
Thank
just
you.
like,
That's exactly
wow.
what I'm looking for.
I think I don't know if I actually
Don't
had-
humble me.
Well, listen.
Don't go
Have you seen
humble
my
me.
switch flip manual?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Give it to me. Give it to me.
I don't think I had that. So I grew up out here, Santa
Okay,
Monica,
yep.
Malibu. Was around all the pros. You know, saw the pros. I mean, obviously on a different level than I was. But there was a place called the Courthouse, Westlake Courthouse. We'd all skate, and I think it was around then when I
How old were you?
I started skating at 15, so a little later in the game.
And
but,
what year
you know,
were you born?
77.
Okay, go ahead.
So
It's 92.
Yeah, it's
92,
93.
91.
Yeah,
Yep.
something like that. Everything kind of happened quickly, but around that era.
And had you been athletic or done any other sports?
Baseball.
Did you surf?
No.
Okay.
No, never surfed.
Yep.
Never
So
surfed.
baseball.
Yeah, baseball. A little soccer,
Okay.
ISO stuff like that. But I don't know. I think around there, besides from seeing all the pros and seeing what they're capable of, I felt like I was in this
Mix,
but like more
Better.
above some. Obviously, people would come through. Where you're like, wow.
This is the analogy I'm looking for. You get into it, you get there, and very quickly you pick up on it. It comes natural to you, and you can sense you're better.
I had to work hard. I don't think gifted is a word that would
Yep.
describe me. It was like works, try. But at the same time, I feel like
You knew you could get it.
somewhat, right? But at the same time, it's like, when other people start to like, come there and they're like, oh, hey, Chris, and you start to get known. I think that's when you kind of
Yeah.
are like,
And
maybe
it's the early
maybe I'm
outside
doing
validation,
something.
right? Like I'm sure,
Right.
Somebody's like, no, that was good. Like that really resonates with me. For
sure.
So it was
Yeah.
around that. It happened fast, you said?
From the time that I started skating to the time that I started, I think we talked about this on one episode.
Yeah.
It was like really kind of quick, 91 to like 94, 95. And then I started to
Really go.
Yeah, I don't remember what year the Listen video came out.
What about for you?
95, 96.
See?
For me,
Yeah.
5 years later. 4 years later.
I never was really that good as a kid, and I just loved it so much. My friends were always better. I just loved being around them. I kept filming sponsor me tapes. I filmed like 4. I filmed like 4 of them, and I kept sending them out. Never a response. And then there's one year we talked about the escape thing. Like my parents were going through a divorce, and it really
Rocked you.
It rocked
How
me.
old were you?
It was from like literally the 13 to 18 that were dealing with the whole thing. And the last year was like really when I was 18. That's when I was a senior. I would go skate
To get away.
and I would film all night because I loved it. And I would go to school. I made sure I went to
Yep.
school and did everything. I finally made that sponsoring tape. I sent it out the next day. I got sponsored by my dream company that I ever wanted to get sponsored by. And the thing that was crazy about it too is that I've told the story a little bit on the show, but I went to my friend's house. He brought me to this guy's house in LA. This pro skater's name's Guy Mariano. He's like, back then he was like this myth legend. Like you didn't
Still
see him.
is.
No, but he was on a little hiatus. He had gone in some, you didn't see him for years. And I see him there and I'm like, oh my God, fucking Guy Mariano. What the fuck was like, I couldn't imagine. And my friend's like, hey, let's watch Kelly sponsor me tape. And I'm like,
No, guy.
I was like, no, dude. I went in the other room, but he came back. He's like, dude, you nollie hoop no said that's the first time I've seen anyone nollie hoop no said around rail. Like that was really dope. And I was like, that was like the most.
That was it.
Like that was it. We're like,
You haven't been able to replicate that since.
that was one of the coolest things. So
Good for you.
Yeah,
But I think what you were saying, it's that validation
Yeah.
from other people.
You know, it's funny, as we're going through this circle, obviously I play a very different game. Something that's very weird about me is that and maybe this is because of business and I'll read the comments and people, but like I've never looked up to a business person, and people do look up to business people. Like in my generation, Bill Gates, because Microsoft was so monstrous, Warren Buffett. Mine has always been the masses. My version of Guy is 300 million Americans, just the market. It's like my thing is like the market. There was never humans in between me and the world. And I think a lot about that. I'm trying to understand and decode so that it could be something that maybe I can speak on. But it was funny when you were just going through your whole story, I actually was envious. Because I think it's cool. Like that is like the reason I made the joke of like you've never been able to replicate. Like you might not be able to as a child when you have an idol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that idol gives you a compliment in the craft that he's like, I loved Randy the Macho Man Savage. He was a lot, I'm being dead serious. He would have been like a guy for me. But, you know, if I got to meet him before he passed, if he would have been like, you're a great businessman, I've had that happen, but it's not in the same game. It's not like he told me I'm a great wrestler.
Yeah.
That must have been fucking bananas for you.
Oh, that was
At the
insane.
time, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I went like, yeah. No, I was. that was an unreal thing, but then it keeps going from there, right? Like you have something else to look up to next.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
But
Well,
that was when I realized that I was like, I can maybe do something with this.
Well, that's actually the beauty of both versions of what we have. The human, which you got to get lucky that the person lives up to the way you put them on a pedestal, which is always dangerous.
Yeah, totally.
For me, I think maybe it was even my fear of that. Actually, I'm really breaking this down live right here. I think the thing that's awesome about the market is you're not vulnerable to the human vulnerability. You know, your hero might be Hulk Hogan or Guy or Derek Jeter, but you might catch that human at the wrong moment when they're going through a divorce or through a difficulty or they lost some money or their mom died. And in that microsecond, you could be shattered because they don't deliver on the ideology.
Yep.
What's cool about the way I play is there is no human. It's just the market. So if I try to sell lemonade and I sell more lemonade than anybody, the market told me I'm better. If I want to sell baseball cards and I made the most money at the card show, it wasn't any individual telling me I'm good or not. You know, school was telling me I was bad. But the market was always telling me I was good. You know, it's even now in the advertising world, I don't want to be at the vulnerability of getting awards at Cannes Lions or Ad Age saying we're good. I don't care about awards and headlines because that's subjective. That's flawed. If I was in music, I wouldn't want to win a Grammy. That's politics. I would just want to have the most songs that are listened to.
True,
the market.
totally. Yeah.
Right. And nowadays you could get that data.
That's right. That's why I fuck with YouTube skaters.
Yeah.
And TikTok skaters.
Bringing it back around. Yeah.
I'm good at that.
No, but it's definitely like, I mean, even growing this podcast, it's like we took what people were saying in the comments and really kind of, you know, listen, constructive criticism, I love.
It's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, when
I
someone,
love it.
listen, I get
But
it.
people, you know, whatever. But
Honestly, I'll tell you one on that. If you guys are dealing with that at all, that you need to deploy with compassion. When somebody's like, fuck you guys, who do you think you are? You suck, or the show blows, or it's too long. Think about this. For somebody to take time out of their own day to try to go hurt somebody else's feelings,
Psycho.
they're in a bad place. Like,
doubt.
and listen, I'm so out there. I'm so aggressive. There's people, you know, that this is too much energy for them being a guest on this show that are inevitably like, fuck this guy. Like, why'd they bring him on? I'm empathetic to that.
right.
And I'm compassionate to it. I'm empathetic to my hate or my trolling or the people that try to throw darkness at me. I have love for them.
Yeah.
I worry for them. I
Right.
care about my fellow human. You are taking time out of your day to try to tear me down. There's no version of your life that doesn't mean that you're hurting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to be compassionate to it. Dustin, as you know, it happened yesterday. Like, I sent the team in our text thread, somebody said, how cringe is this guy? That was the reply.
Yeah.
For me asking, who's cooler, the Smurfs or the Rugrats? that was the tweet. Guy subtweets it, puts on top, how cringe is this guy? I see that he's an NFT in his profile. I know the NFT market is crashing,
Oh.
right? So I'm like, he might have just lost a lot of money. I make a video. And I'm like, my man, I'm so sorry you think that about me. I really hope I get the chance to meet you in real life because I'm feeling we would hit it off. Or to that energy, not those exact words.
Yeah.
Immediately. Gary, I'm so sorry I was being mean. I'm like, you're not being mean. I got you. I love you. Right now, the biggest issue in our world is that people think the way you attack hate is with more hate.
Sure.
Yeah.
No. with
And
love.
we have dug, and we are now dug in. We are now dug the fucking. People are changing their minds on issues just to be on the red or the blue team.
Oh, for
They don't
sure.
even believe it. They don't even believe it.
Yeah.
And so we're all the way there. And it's like sports. I see your Dodgers, like Dodgers and Giant fans, that makes sense to me, but that's sports. That's fake life.
Yeah.
You're supposed to hate each other. That's good. I hate the Patriots. I hate the Bulls. I hate everybody but the Jets and the Knicks. That makes sense. That's silly. That's escapism. That's fun. But real life, human beings, we need to fucking love each other. And I think it starts with you. And everybody wants to tell everybody else what to do. You have to lead by actions. The way I'm doing that is when people hate on me, I show them love, not because I think it's a tactic or it's clever or kill them with kindness. It's because it's my true essence.
Yeah.
Do people ever ask you or act like that in person to you at all?
No.
Yeah. I was-
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
all that
exactly.
is.
Occasionally, I actually respect it. Occasionally, sure, occasionally, maybe from far away, sometimes even up close, but it's all the same game to me. Like to me, I like the keyboard warrior thing because it shows people's truth more. They're not biting their tongue in person, and it allows for dialogue that can help.
Yeah.
I wonder what it means when you show somebody love for the first time in the face of them giving you hate. Does that give them hope?
It has to.
Yeah.
I think so.
It has to.
It makes sense to me. And
Yeah.
if I can give somebody hope that the world isn't just cutthroat and hates each other, that I have the emotional strength to deploy love in the face of hate, and that gives them the debate that maybe there's others out there like that as well, that's what we should be doing for each other.
I agree. Yeah.
Agree.
And if they double down, then we got problems.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny, Dustin and I had this comment, that's why he's laughing behind the camera, and I'll go down to the next double down too. I'll probably go 3 to 5 chess moves. If I'm like deploying the most compassion, the most empathy, if I'm fighting for that for you, I'm okay with cutting bait, to your point, but not on 2.
Yeah.
I usually am like cutting bait on 5 to 7 to 12. That's my range.
That's amazing that you have time and you make time for these individuals. And I'm not saying that it's like
it comes out of gratitude.
you're very thankful.
I'm very
Yeah.
thankful
Yeah.
for the fact that my mindset, my soul, my energy has it so good that I want others to have a taste of it. And it's my responsibility as someone who's happy to bring out more happiness. The problem in our world is that hate is very loud. Happiness is very content. When you're a happy warrior, when people shit on you, you can just move on.
For sure.
Yeah.
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 I feel a sense of responsibility as a happy warrior, as a kind warrior, that when people come at me, I can put in work to give them more love.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, you know, we do get a few here and there. It's mostly, it's like
As-
99% great.
That's right.
But it, you know, it's funny that you know, when you're saying all that, I'm just thinking to myself, like, because we've been labeled sometimes like the nice club or
Okay.
something. And
That's
it's like,
good.
you know, and for me, it's like,
Does that mean you guys aren't cool?
no, it means that like
You're being too nice to the guests?
we don't talk shit enough
We don't talk
about,
shit on the show. Not that we don't deliberately talk shit. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We do, but it's very casual. It's not like, so majority of the time, we are nice. So
No,
when
we
we're
don't say-
complimenting,
it's more of like we don't say like, oh, we hate this guy. We don't do.
And
you
they
know,
want you
it's
to?
like,
We just don't. We don't say we don't like something. Like if like that trick was done weird, we don't go like, oh, that was fucking whack.
Yeah, if we don't like something, we just don't even pay
Got
attention
it.
to
You
it.
just
we don't pay
don't-
attention
we just
to
don't
it,
say
right?
anything about it.
But the funny thing is like we when we started the show, we just wanted to hear skateboarders' stories, right? We wanted to, and the whole thing about this show is like we just want to celebrate skateboarding.
Yeah.
You know, we want to
Yeah,
celebrate
that's
it.
all we
We want
wanna
to
do.
uplift it. We want to attract more people to it. We want,
Cheerleading is good.
yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
like, and I get it. Like the culture, like creates a scenario where like there's a little bit of that edge needed, and like I get it.
that's
I'm
fine.
that's fine.
we have those moments. They're very rare, but they're in
We
there.
do, yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
But
of course.
what do you constantly
Look,
want?
I think empathetic critique is a fascinating balance beam that a crew like you guys could think about. You know, it's really hard to balance opposite energies.
Right.
Yeah.
It's why
Right.
people struggle with it. Like I am content as it gets while being hungrier than anybody I've ever met in my life. That is some wild ass shit.
Yeah.
I get why I confuse people, right?
Sure.
Like that is a wild contradiction. But it's my truth.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for what I have. I'm going to fight for more.
Right.
Nothing
and-
wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Bro, I think it's actually, I mean, I can tell you as someone who lives it, it's exactly right. Get out there and get grateful for what you have, because when people are not content with what they have, they start to deploy envy on others that have perceived what they have. See, the
Sure.
biggest issue for a lot of people is they perceive that someone else is happy because they have a BMW.
Yeah.
But do they know them? Like this concept of judgment, as if you know that someone has it so good and you don't, is crazy. And I wish people could really lean into true. Let me give you an example. There's not one person on earth that's listening to this podcast right now that doesn't have it much better than most people on earth. If you have the time to listen to this podcast and the technology to listen to this podcast, there are 850 million people on earth that do not have access to clean water.
For sure.
Let me say this nice and slow for the kids in the back. I'm a well member and a board member of Charity Water. There are 850 million people on earth that don't have access to clean water.
That's insane.
It's
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, yes, maybe you don't have a Lambo, and yes, maybe you can't get tickets to Coachella, and yes, maybe somebody's got a better board than you, and yes, maybe, you know, like this, that, and the other, but like, we just spend too much energy on what everyone else has instead of being grateful for what we have.
Sure.
And I'm going to say it again. If you're listening to this right now, in a clip on TikTok it means you have a smartphone. Feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
We need that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. How do you have so much energy, man? You are just going and
Luck of the
going,
draw.
man.
Luck of the draw of DNA.
Yeah.
Right.
Big part, right?
Yeah, that's luck of the draw of DNA. It's just there. But I do think gratitude and perspective is I've compounded. You know, my mom and I talk about this, yes, but my circle of gratitude, my framework, the way I see the world, positive energy just gets fucking fast when you go there. Of course you have a lot of energy if you're happy.
Sure.
I think it's about, many things have not worked for me. Many things that people have put on paper as the thing that stops them have happened to me. I just refuse to dwell.
And that's interesting that you say that too, because I think in this day and age, a lot of people don't see the failures. They see all the wins, right?
They choose to see the wins, guys.
That's true.
Yeah. Look at social. People say there's unlimited, and I mean unlimited posts in social. I would argue there's as many posts on social of people talking about their mental unhappiness as there are people flexing their trips.
Oh, yeah.
People choose to say that. People say all the time, Gary, but nobody's real on social. I'm like, really? Go hit #mental health on TikTok right now.
Right.
Depression. People are calling out for help 24/7 on social. People choose when they're in the mindset of perspective to say that, well, we don't have, it's all there.
Right.
You find what you're looking for.
You can go out and search for it. Yeah.
True.
You find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
People are looking to point to something as the excuse to why they're not ready to put in the work to make it better for themselves.
Man.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's a big one, brother.
It is.
It's a big
It
one.
is.
People will use things. They'll point to things and say, Gary, you don't get it. Social's fucking me up. Everyone says that their life is so good. I'm like, really? Why don't you put in #depressed? Because you'll find unlimited people. You want to feel better that other people are hurting too? Unlimited. There are more posts in the last 24 hours on TikTok and Instagram about other people that are hurting mentally than anybody in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s could have consumed of content of having other people that they could relate to that are struggling in the last 24 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
So my point is, we don't like accountability. All of us, me included. I used to have all sorts of excuses why I couldn't get my physical health better. I work too much. Somehow, miraculously, I found the hour to work out every day, and I work harder than I ever have.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready.
Yes.
I wasn't ready. Well, I'm an alcoholic because my dad was an alcoholic. There's hundreds of millions of people whose dads were alcoholics who started to have alcoholic tendencies, who fought their way through it and are no longer alcoholics.
Yeah.
But you're not ready.
Yeah.
And I think we have to give breathing room for our friends and our family out there that are not ready. But because we love them, we can't let them to get away fully with excuses either.
No doubt.
That's true.
We need to give them room to have their excuses, but we must kindly communicate that that's exactly what it is.
Strong.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
No, but it's interesting.
fun stuff,
I
right?
love rapping out with you, and I love
man.
the business talk. I love the real talk. I love it all because I think we are a skateboarding podcast. We talk about skateboarding, and I think people want to hear us talk about skateboarding, but I think there's more to life than just skateboarding, and we have other interests, and I want to just talk to a guy like you on the show who can relate to skateboarding, but maybe he's not in skateboarding.
You're gonna get a lot of comments on this show that are gonna go on opposite directions because you guys are innovating.
For sure.
You're gonna get a ton of people saying this was the best episode because you got into other subject matters. They got to hear something they liked from me. They got to get more insight to you guys. And you get other people and be like, stick to fucking skateboarding. And that's appropriate.
Absolutely. For
sure.
And the people that are like, fuck Gary and stick to skateboarding, I get it. They're like, look, I get this from somewhere else. But the reality is when your intent is good, your intent is to be creative and try new things. My intent coming here is to be respectful of this incredible genre and try to provide insights to things that I can, hopefully bring to the table. And so one of the things I struggle with in our society right now is that people are so quick to cancel and judge and shit on, but we've eliminated the concept of intent. There's a lot of people that will make a misstep in a video. Dustin and I are getting closer and closer. He's behind the camera. Like, he said something about one of his favorite comedians made, a piece of content. Oh, on this show. Fuck.
Mark Norman.
Sick.
And
Yeah.
he was talking about like it didn't bother, and like I'm the same way. Like I struggle to be offended or upset, mainly because I just can sense that 97% of people's intent wasn't to hurt,
For sure.
or to make bad.
Right.
We've got to put intent back into the culture. We need to talk about intent. Like
I
we can't
agree.
be offended or devastated at every notion, because if you take things out of context, they're out of context.
Right.
Yeah.
If you take intent out of the equation, then the intent's out of the equation.
There's
Like,
no equation, yeah.
like when you make a joke as a stand-up comedian, you're either trying to make people escape from their day-to-day and laugh or think or look at something from different, or you're trying to hurt people's feelings. Oh, by the way, almost every professional comedian is not trying to hurt feelings.
No.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Try to make you fucking laugh.
But we are in a place right now where all of them are getting judged as you hurt my feelings, because we've enabled that culturally as the framework, and we've over-coddled.
Yeah.
And we've oversensitivity'd, and we've created 8th place trophies at skating events, which make no fucking sense. If you get an 8th place trophy at a skating event, throw that trophy in the trash. That trophy is worth trash. 8th
What do
place.
they have at Tampa? It's like just for
It's
showing up?
No,
Like,
yeah. Well, they have 1 through 12.
1 through 12.
Yeah, just on the record, if you're listening right now and you have a 12th place trophy in your room, please get up right now,
Throw it
take
away.
it, and throw it directly in the fucking garbage. There's nothing good about a 12th place trophy. There's nothing good. There's a lot of good of you went to Tampa and you gave a real fuck and you tried real fucking hard. And 11 people are more talented than you subjectively, by the way, sometimes, because people are judging, right? Maybe you came in 7th if God was judging, but you came in 12th because the humans decided. But take your fucking 12th place trophy and throw it in the garbage. because what has happened is people believe a 12th place trophy is as good as a first place trophy, and then they go into real life and they struggle, because real life, when mommy and daddy are not trying to make you feel good anymore and they're not there for you, you don't know how to deal. Losing is the best.
Sure.
Losing is the best. We demonized losing to children for the last 30 years, and that's why so many children are struggling as 30-year-olds, because they think losing is bad, and then they become depressed. I lost. I didn't get the promotion. I suck. I didn't do it. No, losing is good.
Oh, yeah.
Losing's the best. As a matter of fact, I like it so much. Check this out. Grew up liking all 4 sports. Rangers, New York Rangers, Knicks, Jets, Yankees. Didn't win a championship my entire childhood. Devastated. Senior year, 30 days before I graduated, my New York Rangers finally did it. They won a Stanley Cup. I was there, one of the greatest days of my life. Finally. 15 years of fandom, all 4 sports, 60 seasons, when it was the biggest thing in my life, my skateboarding, and finally got one.
Yeah.
2 years later, the Yankees did the same. The second both of those 2 teams won a championship, I stopped rooting for them. I am now solely a Jets and Knicks fan, because I enjoy the process of losing and the process of trying to win more than winning.
Yeah.
And in that is the secret of why I am content and happy every day. We have to teach children that losing is good. We tell kids that cry when they lose in Little League that that's bad. It's great. My son's team, one of the kids cried after a game a couple weeks ago. I ran over to that kid and more crying. I swear to God. Means he cares, means he competes, means he wanted to win. Kids should cry. They're trying to calibrate the feelings of not winning when they want to win so bad.
Absolutely.
If we take that away, they're not going to want to win so bad.
Straight up.
Straight up.
Not everyone deserves a trophy.
No. And here's why. You can get a trophy, or the perception of it, or there's no winners, is just not human nature. It's like communism. Guys, Marxism on paper, if you go Google, read Marxism, it's actually beautiful. It's like the nicest poem you've ever read. We're all equal. We're the best. I love it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's not the human animal spirit, and that's okay. Same with 12. It's great to tell your kid, you tried, but Ronnie's better. Or you went at it hard. I'm pumped. You developed that skill better. This week was better than 3 weeks. It's great to communicate around progress. It is atrocious to eliminate merit. And 1 in 12 place trophies is eliminating merit. You're not the same as the kid that won the whole thing. You're not.
No,
Get that trophy out of your fucking house.
Get that trophy.
Well, I watched one thing with you where you had like all your grades like on your desk.
Yes.
Like what, you had like D's and F's.
I was an atrocious student. My point every time I bring up my report card to people is the worst system in our society is teaching everyone to be good every 90 days on an arbitrary machine that doesn't have anything to do with life. We can't do that to our kids. There are parents grounding their kids for bad grades. There are kids that grow up incredibly insecure as grown-ups because they were bad at school because they had a creative brain.
Right.
Yeah.
This is fucked up shit. I'm starting to go, even my team's seeing it right now. I'm starting to take a different tack altogether. I've been shitting on it. Now I'm going to really like go there. Like I feel my next chapter with my conversation around the modern education system is coming. I've been like razzing it and dissing it. I'm going to start holding it like to a different conversation. Like I hate shaming and I hate like being righteous. And so I think it's fucked us up a little bit. So I don't want to go there with the school system. I'm going to go in a different place. I'm going to plead compassionately to parents, which is like, I'm telling you with my fucking heart, please don't do this to your children. Show me how it maps to real life because I can show you that it doesn't. You show me that all the ABE students are the happiest and most successful people on earth, and I'll shut the fuck up.
Well, we always
You show me.
Yeah,
You show me. No, seriously, on some shit on this. You show me that every A+ student that went to Harvard is the happiest and most successful person on earth, and I'll shut the fuck up. But guess what? You can't. So I'm going to keep talking this game.
Keep talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about how like we went to high school, or I went to high school and everything, or grew up and like I never got taught about anything about money, taxes, anything. Like nothing that I do.
Mortgages.
Nothing that I do now. I mean, yeah, it taught me English, and that's great. Like you know what I mean. But
You would have learned English anyway.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
You would have.
Yeah.
You can't not. You walk around Earth.
Yeah.
Like you would have learned English anyway.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I'm still listen. There are many. My daughter loves school. Like I love it. Do you? But self-awareness, truth about people's skill sets, not suppressing creativity. I have so much concern that we're over-drugging, over-policing our children, and we're I believe for fact that some of the most special people that walk Earth have been their parents and the school system have sucked their specialty out, and they will be a shell of themselves, and they will not create the things that change our Earth because of modern POVs on hyper kids.
Yeah.
I don't think I would be, if I was unlucky and was born 40 years later to a different mother, I can tell you right now, I would have not achieved who I was because they would have had me on everything.
Yeah.
They would have had me locked the fuck up because I was completely out of control. I was completely out of control, and that out of controlness allowed me to see the world differently, allowed me to innovate, allowed me to be more thoughtful, allowed me to be clear in the gray.
Yeah, I didn't hold your mind back.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny,
Parents must fight for their kids if they believe it. There's plenty of parents listening right now like, fuck you, Gary. I believe it, and I went to Harvard, and I believe, and good. I'm definitely never going to tell anybody how to parent their kids. Everyone's got their own shit. There's a lot of parents that are scared to say fuck. You know, when NWA said fuck the police, that was some crazy ass shit. We grew up with that, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of parents need to step up and say fuck the school.
Seriously.
I could second that.
I mean,
sure.
you got a kid, right? Right
Yeah,
there,
definitely. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's been happening, you know, in the schooling system in this past year and a half.
Oh, interesting.
You know, so it's gotten to a point where, you know, I know a lot of people are taking their kids out of school. You know?
Or you know, a lot of people, you know, it's funny. Homeschooling requires financial and reality. So a lot of parents who'd want to take their kids out, but they both love
They
their
can't,
career.
yeah,
They can't afford. There's a lot going on. What I'm saying is homeschooling is one thing, right? People do it. It's amazing if you can. This is about the conversation you have with your children. The conversation my mother had with me was very simple, which is you're going to get grounded if you get bad grades because I want to teach you accountability. You do something, something happens. However, nothing about school defines you.
Right.
Got it?
Yeah.
You're the best. You're incredible at these other things. You're a little lazy with school, and I'm not pumped about it, and you're going to get grounded. Kind of fake. 2 weeks, not really. She always stopped after 3 days. She did it right. A lot of parents can't take their kids out, can't take them to private school. They definitely can't afford that. Can't take them homeschooling. They can't afford that. Or they don't, or by the way, back to permission, or they don't want to, and that's okay too. But the convo they have with their kids should be, I want you to be a good person. You need to be kind of respectful. But if you get D's or F's, you're gonna be just fine. Now let's figure out what you are, and let's triple down on that.
There you go.
Because what my mom did was like, look, you're not going to Stanford, so you're gonna have to work. You know, so like you turn 14 and you're gonna work in dad's store, and I'm like, fuck, no more summer vacation, no more summer vacation. You're more than welcome to get A's, and then you can have all your summer vacation, because then you're gonna have a cush life, because you can get a job. But if you're gonna go this route, you better learn how to fucking work. And that I respect, that I admire. I'm so thankful. How am I so happy? Because I had the best fucking mom, dad, got real fucking lucky, was taught all the right things. And I feel a level of guilt and gratitude that I think has now created Gary Vee. I'm on, you know, I've always asked myself, why am I putting myself so out there? It comes with so much baggage.
Oh, yeah.
You know, all this, I just want to help.
You help a lot of people.
Like, I want to help. You know,
I mean, you're a big inspiration here because I first saw you. Roger told me his amazing story before, but I would. It's kind of funny because I would live here. I'd come out and I would hear this loud ass voice in there. I was like, "What the fuck is Roger listening to?" And it was your voice. And it's amazing how you've inspired Roger so much that's actually helped Roger and Chris create this show.
Yeah.
And so we want to say thank you for that.
I'm very
Big time,
humbled.
man.
I'm
We
very
have some blueberry pie here for you.
I know, thank you, brother. And the blueberries.
Did you see the magnet?
I see it right on the thing. It's like, you don't even know. I wish people, it makes me emotional. Like, I'm just so grateful. Like, you know, it's like fucking crazy. Like, I've just been so gifted with the ability to communicate. And then, you know, a lot of people that are gifted with communication, the way you were gifted with skating, a lot of them sell bad.
Yeah.
They start cults. They become dictators. They push bad stuff.
Yeah.
I not only believe that I'm an all-time communicator. On the luck of what did I do? On the luck of the draw. Mom and dad had sex at the right moment. That's why. On the luck of the draw, I became this communicator. I had this crazy talent to communicate. And then, on top of that, God gifts me with the greatest mother of all time who instilled nothing but accountable kindness in me so that I can amplify that to the world and then have all the residual good that comes along with that. It's profound. It's humbling. It's everything to me.
I love it.
So
I
rad.
love it. Well, you're doing you, and that's what's great.
And you have a great
know?
team around you. It looks like
Yeah,
I've met Ben and
Ben, big shout out to Ben. I mean, Ben's why I'm here. Like, Ben is, for a second, I'm like, you know, like, it's crazy. Like, you meet people along the way. Ben's obviously of this culture. You guys know him really well.
yeah.
Like, that's what the reason I think, Ben had different interests than me. We had a hip hop crossover interest, but, like, his streetwear, I mean, what he's doing with Grand, like, just who he is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he works hard and he's
nice.
Yeah, he's a nice
He's
dude.
very, very genuine, and that's very rare these days. You know.
How do what's funny, brother? I'm gonna say this. This is where it's so fun. I don't think it's as rare. I think us who are wherever we are have to empower the nice, genuine people to triple down on it, to make it cooler. Like, my obsession is to make kindness and empathy and compassion the coolest.
Right.
The coolest.
Yeah.
Skating wasn't the coolest in 1979. And then in 86, across this nation, it became the coolest. It was that cool. I was there. I watched it. This is what I'm good at. That's what I want to do for kindness. For genuine.
that.
Like, we need to, like, when I was growing up, whoever was the biggest dick in high school was cool.
I know,
Right?
Yeah.
That's what we grew up with. Now I want the nicest single person in every high school to be the coolest person in school. I want them to get the girl, to them to get the guy.
Sure.
I want them to get the roses from the class. I want them to be homecoming. Like, look what all the movies we watched and all grew up with. Who was the homecoming queen? The people that visually looked the best, that were mean to everybody. It was the mean girl and the mean guy. We need to change that, and I think we can, and I think there's an opening for it. And everybody shits on social for doing bad. Fuck old media. They perpetuated that.
Right.
They told me who was going to win. The jock and the mean cheerleader. That's who won in high school. That's who got the car. That's who got the money. That's who got the girl. Social allows everything to open. Everybody focuses on the bad, it opens. How about the good? How about I'm out here popular as fuck? I'm popular as fuck now. I have unlimited. It is what it is.
No, you said it.
It is what it is. I'm standing on. I know. I'm living my life. I'm standing there trying to get on the plane yesterday, right, Dustin? Person after person, selfie after selfie, all looking different ages, different genders, different interests. I'm popular and I'm pushing fucking real kindness out here.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I know that there's a 9-year-old who's like, I want to be like Gary. I want to be rich and cool and this. And if that makes him subconsciously say, I'm going to be nice to everybody because that's the way, well, that's what I'm about.
I love it.
I see it, bro. Definitely.
That's so sick, dude.
Awesome. Thank you guys for
Round of
having
applause.
me.
Hold on.
Yes.
One more question.
Yeah, please, please.
No, I know
Sorry.
you're busy. I know you got to go.
Yeah,
You got a million other things to do. I'm just curious because, entrepreneurship,
Yes.
you love it. If you were to start a skateboard company tomorrow, right? How would you go about
I love it.
marketing or trying to get a foot in the door?
Let's break it down because I have a lot of thoughts on this.
Okay.
What kind of what am I selling?
You're selling skateboards
Yep, got
and apparel.
Got it.
And you have to build a team around you too, which is skateboarders that would sell this apparel.
85% of my energy would be against TikTok.
Would be what?
Against TikTok.
Against.
Meaning
Like you-
in
in
it.
it. Sure.
Deploying against TikTok.
Okay.
TikTok team.
Because TikTok is where the attention of 9 to 39 is.
You know what's funny you say that because I think that the skateboard companies and the core
Yep.
whatever, I don't think that they know how to use.
They're not
like, they don't know how to.
TikTok yet,
They don't know how to like
There's some-
infiltrate
some
I know.
TikTok.
do, but-
I know.
You know,
I agree.
Yeah.
I would
the cool way.
Yeah.
That's what
I would completely and utterly pound creative and run media and sponsor influencers. I would bombard TikTok with almost all of my energy. Now,
Would you hire somebody just for that social media aspect of it?
yes, but if we're getting very personal for all the entrepreneurs that are listening or you guys or anybody else, when something's the most important, if you do not know how to judge it, you are vulnerable when you hire for it.
Oh yeah.
If you know nothing about TikTok
Right.
and you hire a kid to do your TikTok for your skateboard brand, the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
You have no idea if he's doing it well.
Yeah.
If she's doing it well.
So you need to immerse yourself as a
gotta
business
get-
owner. To
You're going to love this. This is what I love about skate. One of the things I love about skate, because of how it came up, the OGs, even the executives, a lot of them skated.
Oh yeah.
It's
sure.
it's
For
it's
sure.
still young, so it's super authentic. Well, that's what I want the skate community entrepreneurs that are listening right now to do. If you know that what you respect is executives in these companies or the representatives in the brands are actually of it, well, if TikTok's going to be your moat, you need to fucking do TikTok. Even if you're 42 and you're an entrepreneur and it's been a long time and you did none of the social, spend 20. Remember 1991 when you worked your way into being good?
Yeah.
Work your way into being good on TikTok.
There you go.
Just because you don't know it now, it's no different than the day before you picked up the board. The day you picked up the board started the process of you getting good. The day you pick up your phone and start consuming TikTok, hitting different hashtags, putting in skateboarding, enter, search, consume everything. That did well. Why did that do well? Look at these comments. Why?
Right.
Work. Then you can start really understanding what to do. Then you can judge the person you're interviewing if they understand it. You could definitely hire somebody to skate.
Sure.
You know what it looks like.
Oh
Yeah.
But can you hire somebody to do TikToks? Not if you don't know it.
Yeah.
I love what you're saying right there because Mr. Beast,
Yes.
right? Phenomenal, the best YouTuber
best.
ever. But he, before he made it big, he was analyzing everything.
He still is.
Yeah.
Well, still is. But I mean,
I was with Jimmy last summer. He's still in it.
But just to get,
Gnarly.
He's in
to
it.
get there, he was,
Listen, I'm-
thousands and thousands analyzing thumbnails and this and camera cuts and I mean, he had, he
That was
lived
his
it.
passion. That's his passion right
He
there. Yeah.
is a man of his craft.
It's crazy.
It's
I
it's
love
the
it.
best. It's why I adore him. It's why I've always given him daps. We've gotten closer in the last couple of years. I love that dude.
Yeah.
It's what I live. I do it now. I have the most successful marketing agency when it comes to social media marketing in the world. VaynerMedia is that.
Right.
I'm the best practitioner of social in my company.
I
And I'm
love
the
it.
CEO.
Yeah.
And they all know it.
46 years old.
And 46 years old.
Yeah.
There's no 23-year-old that scares me at all. Half my age, I'll destroy that fucker. They don't know it better. Because every 23-year-old on earth might be able to be better at one thing than me, but not all of them. That's very nice that you think, and maybe actually I'll give it to you, you're better at TikTok than I am. Talk to me about LinkedIn. Explain to me what's happening on Twitter. What's happening on Pinterest? Have you even heard of it, 23-year-old dude? Like, I'm unstoppable.
Reddit is a big thing now too.
love
Reddit,
All of
Discord.
it, dude,
yeah.
all of it.
Wait. What makes TikTok so much? Like, why TikTok?
They don't cap virality.
Okay, I've noticed. I look things like the views on that go bananas.
But have you noticed the most interesting part? Go look at Instagram, go look at Twitter, go look at Facebook, go look at anything right now, and look at somebody's account and notice how almost all their stuff is in the same amount of reach.
Yeah.
Almost all of it is in this. YouTube has this as well, where you could have 4,000, 4,000, 4,000, 100,000 videos, right? So that's why YouTube's so powerful. Platforms that don't cap the reach, that are completely about, if people like it, they'll keep showing it to you, will always win. TikTok is the most advanced algorithm on the interest. So you'll see crazy shit on TikTok, AKA the first TikTok somebody ever posted got 1 million views when they had 3 followers. You'll see 300 views, 8 million.
Right.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anywhere else.
Yeah.
So the merit of it is intoxicating because most people don't want to start because they have no followers, they're not good at it.
Yeah.
And then if they're good at creative, if the 9th post goes crazy, they're like, wait a minute.
Sure.
That's why. And another reason, the supply and demand of attention. Right now, there's more attention on TikTok than there are people creating for it. The reason Instagram is harder now, everybody thinks it's funny for me to watch people talk about the biggest reason that I no longer talk about most things is I realized I'm undereducated about healthcare, and somebody that knows a lot about healthcare might hear me talk and I sound like a fucking idiot. So people are always like, Instagram's fucking me, the algorithm, I'm shadow banned. You're not shadowed banned, your content sucks.
Yeah.
You're not as good anymore.
Yeah.
It's harder to be good because there's more people on it, there's more ads, and there's more content and less attention. Instagram doesn't own 20 to 30 anymore like it used to. They're all on TikTok. So there's less eyes, there's more ads, there's more people producing for Instagram today than 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's just supply and demand. TikTok in 4 years is not going to have 8 million easy anymore either.
Yeah, I was gonna say when's
More
that gonna
ad,
get capped out?
it's always the same game, supply and demand.
I wish we didn't have to cut this short. I wish you could stay here all day and hang out with us, but I know you're a very busy man,
you.
and I know you got
Yes,
stuff
man.
to do.
Thank
I
you.
love that last piece, man, because like I just got into TikTok and like I know it's a little late, but better late than never.
By the
whatever.
way, not late.
Yeah, okay.
I want everybody to hear
perfect
that.
time.
Not
We're
late.
good.
Not late. Go ahead.
And I
I'm
just
going to post right now.
Good.
No, I did. I saw a friend of mine. It's weird how I got into it. It's like a friend of mine. She was like, "Oh yeah, I started doing these TikTok videos," and she's going to Home Depot and just dancing in Home Depot, and it was just going nuts. And it's not like wow, what a way you can just get yourself out there by doing whatever you want to do and not having to be, I got to do it this way or whatever.
Everything plays.
Yeah.
As long as it's you.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you.
That was cool.
Do you.
Yeah.
Gary,
Moral
dude,
of the
thank
story.
you so much for coming by.
My man.
Appreciate that. Yeah, hey, usually we give all the guests stuff on the show, but we'll give it to you as you're walking
Thank
out the
you so
door.
much.
We got some 9 Club swag.
I'm
for
pumped.
you.
I will rock it heavy.
Yes.
Cheers.
Gary,
Thank you,
so
everybody.
much.
Gary.